If you've ever stood in front of a store fridge debating between a $2 bottle of Glacier spring water and, well, the free tap stuff at home, you're not alone. Bottled water feels cleaner, purer, and safer. But is it really? Or are we just paying extra for fancy labels and good marketing? Because here's the kicker. Studies suggest that in many countries, tap water can be just as safe, and sometimes safer, than bottled. So what's the real deal? Is bottled water a genius invention or just liquid capitalism in a plastic suit? Let's dive into the surprisingly dramatic history of drinking water, right here on History of Food. Believe it or not, there was a time when people didn't want to drink water. For centuries, water sources were teeming with bacteria, sewage, and mysterious sludge. In medieval Europe, wine and beer were considered safer because alcohol killed germs, which explains why no one trusted a sober person back then. But by the late 1800s, modern plumbing and chlorination changed everything. Cities started cleaning up their water systems, and tap water became a reliable, everyday miracle. It was cheap, safe, and always available. Then, just when everyone finally started trusting their taps, bottled water came along and said, "Hey, what if you paid for it?" Bottled water actually started as a luxury item. In the 18th and 19th centuries, European spas sold mineral water from natural springs, claiming it could cure a wide range of ailments, from indigestion to heartbreak. Wealthy people would literally ship barrels of it across the continent to show off their refined taste and hydration. Fast forward to the 1970s, a little company called Perrier decided to rebrand bottled water for the modern world. Suddenly, water wasn't just for survival, it was a lifestyle. Advertisements showed models sipping from green glass bottles, promising purity, fitness, and sophistication. Then came brands like Evian, Fiji, and Dasani, each claiming to offer something superior: volcanic filtration, glacier origins, or the tears of angels. Okay, maybe not that last one. By the 1990s, bottled water had officially gone mainstream. But here's the plot twist. While bottled water was climbing to luxury status, tap water was still doing just fine. In fact, municipal tap water in most developed countries is heavily regulated and tested far more often than bottled brands. In the US, for example, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, monitors tap water under strict safety standards, testing thousands of samples for contaminants like lead, bacteria, and chemicals. Bottled water, on the other hand, falls under FDA regulation, which isn't as rigorous or as frequent. That means your tap water at home might actually be checked daily, while your bottled water was tested periodically, sometimes only at the factory. So much for pure glacier essence. But okay, let's be honest. Bottled water often tastes better, or does it? In blind taste tests, most people can't tell the difference between bottled and tap water. In one famous test, New Yorkers actually preferred their tap water to several bottled brands. The city's water, sourced from protected reservoirs in the Catskills, is so clean that it's used as a marketing point for bagels and pizza. So why do some people think bottled tastes better? It often comes down to minerals: calcium, magnesium, sodium, which give water its unique flavor profile. Some bottled waters add these intentionally, while others, like Fiji or Evian, naturally contain them. Tap water's taste, meanwhile, can vary depending on pipes and chlorine levels, which, yeah, can make it smell like a swimming pool on bad days. Still, most of the taste superiority is psychological. After all, when you pay for something that claims to come from a hidden mountain spring, your brain wants it to taste better. Now, here's where bottled water really starts losing points. Every year, humans buy over 500 billion plastic bottles, and less than 30% of them get recycled. The rest end up in landfills or floating around the ocean, forming what we now call the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, basically an island made of regret. And let's not forget the energy cost. It takes about 2,000 times more energy to produce bottled water than tap water, including manufacturing, packaging, and transportation. So while bottled water companies love to sell purity, their carbon footprint is anything but clean. Some brands are trying to pivot to recycled or paper-based bottles, but for now, the environmental toll is still massive. Now, before we start chanting tap water forever, it's fair to admit that not all tap water is safe. The Flint, Michigan crisis in the U.S. exposed just how devastating contamination can be. Old lead pipes, poor oversight, and political negligence turned a city's tap water toxic. Even today, similar issues exist in parts of the world where infrastructure is outdated or non-existent. In developing regions, more than 2 billion people still lack access to clean, safe drinking water. For them, bottled or filtered water isn't a luxury, it's survival. So while bottled water gets mocked in the West for being bougie, in many places, it's a literal lifeline. Another myth: bottled water is cleaner because it's sealed. That's not always true. Once opened, bottled water can grow bacteria just as quickly as any other food, especially if left in warm environments like a car. Plastic bottles can also leach chemicals like BPA or microplastics, especially when exposed to heat. Studies have found that most bottled water brands contain microscopic plastic particles, likely from the packaging itself. Tap water, meanwhile, flows through metal pipes, which, while not perfect, don't shed plastic. So if we're talking about invisible toxins, bottled water isn't automatically the winner. Here's the twist. The bottled versus tap debate isn't really about safety. It's about trust. Bottled water succeeded because people lost faith in their local water systems. It's not that bottled water is dramatically safer. It's that it feels safer. It comes with a label, a seal, and a sense of control. Tap water, by contrast, feels public, uncertain, and out of our hands. But the truth is, for most people in developed countries, tap water is one of the safest, most environmentally friendly things you can drink. Bottled water may be convenient, but it's often just an expensive illusion of purity. So which one's actually safer? In most cases, tap water wins. It's heavily tested, cost-effective, and doesn't leave a plastic footprint. That said, bottled water still has its place for emergencies, travel, and places where the tap isn't trustworthy. The real danger isn't what's in the water. It's the marketing that makes us fear one and worship the other. At the end of the day, clean water, however you get it, is one of humanity's greatest achievements. But if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where safe water flows straight from your sink, that's not just convenience, that's history pouring right out of your tap. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.